Not gonna waste time, I'm gonna jump right into the video. So this is how to improve your sleep. Now for many people, sleeping is actually something that they really struggle with. And for me, by implementing certain tactics like this, my ability to be fully rested and get a full night of sleep has drastically improved because of the tactics that I've shown, that I have written out before you for this video. In fact, times when I don't do these tactics, like I've done recently and nights before, is that I've noticed that when I don't do this, my sleep is far, far worse. And I truly do believe that there's value in this video, so please do me a favor and full screen and watch it all the way through. Trust me, it's worth it, and you'll be doing not only me a huge favor, but also yourself a huge favor because of the value that I plan on giving you in this video. So the first point is blue light. Now a lot of people have heard of blue light and know some things about it, about how it can affect your sleep, but a lot of people don't really know the extent of this and the reason why. Now, blue light, what it's doing is it's basically messing up part of your brain, part of your brain's function and hormone regulation known as your circadian rhythm. It's basically your body's internal clock and how it knows when to do certain tasks and give you certain feelings and emotions, sort of like, and it gives you certain hormones and things like that that can affect your mood, your energy levels, everything, all thanks to this circadian rhythm, your body's internal clock. And one of the main ways that this circadian rhythm is able to know it's what to do and basically how it functions is through light. When your brain takes in blue light as well as natural sunlight and things like that, it's telling your circadian rhythm that it's now daytime, it's time to be energetic and to get things done. So your energy levels increase and your sleepiness drops down. The problem is that through artificial blue light, like from your cell phone, which you're probably watching this on right now, or from your laptop or TV or whatever, this blue light is confusing your brain into believing that it's daytime when it's not, when it's night. And so your brain, thinking it's time to go to bed, sees all this blue light and all these stimulating colors and goes, oh, it's not day yet. It's not night yet. I still have the day. I can't waste the day. I can go, do things. And so your energy level increases and your sleepiness goes down. So how you can improve this is by simply not being on electronics, or if you have, like I have, you can't really tell in here, like these are LED light strips, so I can change the color of my room lights or whatever. As long as you don't change it to blue or anything in the color spectrum of blue, so like your greens and things like that, or purples or magenta or pink, whatever, as long as you're not changing it within that color range, you should be all right. So the general rule to follow is just basically avoid blue light before you go to sleep, and try to do this about an hour, 45 minutes. The longer you do it before bedtime, the better. And something that I do to do this is I've actually turned the colors off on my phone. I plan on making a video later about why I do this. There's many benefits to not having colors on your phone. It's very interesting, but basically what this does is, because there's no different colored light coming on my phone, it's just gray tones, I don't have to worry about blue light, because outside there isn't any blue light coming in because it's night. And so this is telling my circadian rhythm, my brain, that yes, now it's time to unwind and go to bed. And they also make blue light glasses or whatever that don't let you see blue light, make everything look orange, or you can, if you want, you can turn the blue light off on your phone so it's just orange colors, but I like to go all the way and make it black and white. It's whatever you want to do. The next point is reading. Now, what this has done to help improve my sleep is rather than just laying down and letting your mind wander all over the place and think about random stuff and not even really think about anything, sometimes to just sit there. Giving yourself something to do that's not stimulating, like being on your phone, is extremely beneficial because it's helping your brain to focus on something without being overstimulated. Because when you know, like, oh, I'm just going to wind down before I go to bed and just scroll on TikTok or whatever you want to scroll on or whatever, it's overstimulating your brain. And just like how blue light would make your brain think it's awake, when your brain is seeing all these different things, you're telling your mind that, look at all this stuff that's going on, all this stuff everywhere. We can't go to sleep. We got to be awake because look at all this stuff that's happening. We got to be a part of it. But when you just sit down or lay down in bed, I like to keep a book or whatever next to my bed and just sit there and read without any bright lights on. I literally just have this little reading light that I turn on. I got on the dimmest setting. It has just dim enough to where I can still read words, and just have it on at night right before I go to bed and just read something. It's preventing your brain from wandering all over the place, and it's not stimulating, so it's perfect. It's two birds with one stone. And basically, I just read and read and read until I'm start struggling to keep my eyes open to the point where I can't even really look at anything anymore, and then I just close the book, turn off my light, go to bed. That's it. The next point is planning the next day. What this is see, the reason I have 2 points here about thoughts and not letting your mind wander is because that is something that have dramatically, impacted my sleep for a very long time. Is that sort of like my ADHD brain is just constantly trying to think about stuff and thinking about random garbage and just all sorts of random memories and all this stuff. Like, oh, remember when that happened? Remember when that happened? And that was really cool because that happened because of that. Just constantly thinking about things before I go to bed. It makes it almost impossible to sleep. And so by planning the next day, this is actually basically just limiting the thoughts about the day. Because what this is doing is, rather than me, while I'm sleeping, thinking about the future, like, oh, what if that happens? And what happens when I do that? And if I do that, what's going to happen? And maybe I should do this instead of that. And maybe I should do that. Just so much junk, worrying about the future, worrying about the next day. Instead, before you go to bed, just sit down, write it down if you have to or whatever, and just plan out the next day. Think about all the things that you have to do, all the goals you have to accomplish, and all this stuff, and just make a plan for the next day. Something that I've noticed is that whenever I'm stressed out or whenever there's something very overwhelming happening, if I just have a good plan, most of that stress goes away because it's all part of the plan. I can just reference back to the plan and think about how the time is all going to work together. By making this plan, it's making it so I don't have to think about and worry about the future before I go to sleep. And if I'm reading on top of that, it makes it almost impossible to think about that because I'm focusing on what I'm reading. And so by clearing your brain of thoughts, it makes it so much easier to just go to bed. The next point is going to bed and waking up at the same time consistently. Now, something that I've noticed is that for some reason, and I think this can relate to a lot of people, for whatever weird reason, when you've been consistently getting under 8 hours of sleep a night, and then one day you think, oh yeah, I really gotta catch up on my sleep, so you sleep like 10, 11, maybe even 12 to 14 hours. Just sleep in super late and go to bed super early, when you have a huge amount of sleep, you're almost more tired the next day than you were on all the days combined when you were getting under 8 hours. It's very interesting. And the reason for this is because it goes back to circadian rhythm with the blue light. It's you are messing up your circadian rhythm because your brain wants routine, it wants order. And so when you go from going to bed at this time, waking up at this time very consistently, to all of a sudden jumping to going to bed super early or staying up late or whatever, and then waking up at a completely different time than usual, it messes up your circadian rhythm because your brain is used to waking up when the sun rises and going to bed when the sun sets, which happens roughly the same time every day. Of course, it changes during the seasons, but for the most part, it's happening at a similar time every day. When you change this, and one day you're sleeping until noon, and the next day you gotta wake up at 4 a.m, your brain is just going to be so thrown off track that it has no choice but to make you super tired the next day, to get you to sleep more or sleep less or whatever. And all your hormones and all the signals that your brain needs to send you are completely fried because it has no idea what time it is, what month it is, what season, because you've confused it so much. The next point is white noise. Now, something else that has made my sleep more difficult is, see, my house makes a lot of noise when people are walking around, and it doesn't make a huge amount of noise, but it does make noise. And the position of my bedroom, which I'm in right now, if you make the tiniest sound in the living room that's below me, it echoes up the house, up into my room. It's just the shape of our house. It just echoes like crazy up, just directly into my room. So every noise that someone makes downstairs, I hear. And so the way I've gotten around this is, it's actually an incredible blessing to me, is that my fan, which is running right now, you probably can't hear it in the video, but it's pretty loud. And because my fan is loud, and because it's such a consistent noise, just the same note of sound over and over, just constantly, it makes it much easier to go to bed, because it is drowning out all the random sounds that my family and pets make. So what this can look like for you is having a fan going, not a super ridiculously loud fan, because loud noises can really mess up your sleep, but just a normal sound like my fan right there, or having air conditioner going or whatever, can really improve your sleep quality, because it makes it much more difficult for you to just randomly wake up in the middle of the night to a random noise or a bird laying next to your window or whatever. So having some kind of white noise can be extremely beneficial to your sleep. And the last point before I get out of here is having some kind of fulfilling work. Now, what this means is, rather than wasting your time during the day just sitting around, not doing much, just kind of playing video games, eating junk food, scrolling on Instagram and TikTok, having some kind of fulfilling thing to do, working on something that you love and are passionate about, makes it much easier to go to sleep, because you feel that feeling of you've accomplished something. You don't have this nagging voice in the back of your head saying you haven't done enough today, you haven't done anything today, you need to go do something. Because when we're not doing anything, because human beings, we're supposed to do things every day. But when we don't do this, when we don't actually contribute anything to the people around us, our brain knows this and knows something's wrong. And so we can actually make sleeping much more difficult, because we're trying to still do things, because we know we were supposed to do things during the day, but we haven't done anything during the day. But on the contrary, when you have fulfilling work, when you have something that is important to you, that you're passionate about, that you're working on, when you then get stuff like this done, get like accomplish tasks and work towards your goals during the day, it makes it much, much easier to sleep because you don't have that gut urge, that gut feeling to go do something. You're fulfilled. You've accomplished things. And it also makes you more tired, more drained. I sleep like a baby when I work super hard during the day because I have depleted my energy. So that is actually probably the best point. The best way to improve your sleep is just have some kind of fulfilling work to do to mentally and physically drain you, so that at the end of the day you're actually tired and you can actually go to sleep. You don't have this random energy where you just are fidgety and you just want to do things but you haven't done anything. You don't have that problem if you have fulfilling work. Also, try not to eat anything too close to bedtime. This is kind of a bonus point, which I wasn't planning on including in this video because I break this rule a lot. But this has been shown to really improve people's sleep by not eating around an hour or 2 hours before bed, because your body's digesting a bunch of food and expending a lot of energy. Sometimes it can make it very difficult to sleep. Me personally, sometimes eating before I go to bed can actually help me sleep, but this is just my personal experience. It is not, so I don't I actually recommend trying things out. Try eating at this time instead of this time. Eating dinner right before you go to bed. See how it affects your sleep. If it makes it better, makes it worse, whatever. Just try things out. Implement these tips. For some people, the white noise actually makes their sleep worse. Just implement these tips. See how they work. And do what you can to improve your sleep, because having better sleep is one of the best things you can do for not only your physical health, but your mental health as well. That's all I got for today. May God bless you and stay wild.